multi-exclusive dimensional being Kyle with another exclusive. Today's video is going to be about spiritual warfare. Now, what is spiritual warfare? Spiritual warfare is your spirit, which is a spirit in general, your unconscious, your space, your location, your space, your generation. Everybody needs space. Because once you basically bring in everybody into one room, it causes friction. It causes harmfulness. It's not going to cause harmonious natures. Everybody need a space. Everybody need a pot to piss in. Everybody need a pot to shit in. So when you basically bring everybody into the room together, things get hot. Things get clogged up. This is basically not good. So what we need to do, we need to separate and basically have our own space, have our own room, our own way of doing things, and our way of expressing. So when we talk about spiritual warfare, the shit that you see with your two eyes, down to earth, grounded, is not spiritual warfare. This is just basically a mimitation of what you see or what you basically experience. Because at the end of the day, y'all as spirits and bodies need to understand and understand that these concepts that y'all are jumping into, it can create a motherfucking harmonious energy or a nightmare for you. So when you're not aware of these things that take shape and form in your life and can basically put you in spectrums and put you in a jail cell, you don't know what you're doing. And you don't know what gun you're jumping. And you don't know what spirit, you don't know what trials and tribulations that spirit been through. Or what basically footprints in the sand that spirit basically inhabited. So when we talk about spiritual warfare, this talks mainly about religion, reliving, redoing something. They talk about demons all the time. Understand and understand. A demon is a spirit and a body of rip. That's it. That's all. When we talk about demons, of course they create these little sigils, these little photos and pictures of demons and shit. Of course, because these be little spirits. These be spirits and bodies that's in little shapes and little forms. As far as bugs, as far as motherfucking roaches, mouses, rats. Now take this into consideration. If you was just basically staying at one spot, you wasn't moving, you wasn't getting into any influences, you wasn't putting yourself in a higher vibration, you wasn't putting your space and you wasn't putting your spaceship in a way where it can travel and expand, then basically all you remember is basically being in this low ass shape and form, as in the bug. So all you're gonna basically come back to is being in the bug or being in the lower less shape and form. Because you're not moving around, you're not getting around, you're just staying fixated in one spot. And what is the overall? The overall is basically having an imagination of being aware of every single thing, whether it's in front of them, behind them, on the side of them, or within them, and basically on the external provision, or basically their vision and spectrum more in general. Now, if you're not basically moving around and going places, you're not going to basically be achieving nothing. Another spirit that's in the body as in the low spectrum gonna be moving around basically getting killed by a human being or killed by something bigger than it. And of course it's gonna be able to transform because it remember another bigger shape and form. It basically was aware of more ways and more aspects to basically expand and grow. It didn't stay stagnated or basically situated in the spectrum of basically staying down here. So now when we talk about spiritual warfare again, this is basically you having the possibilities and the ability to create and initiate and do things in your own influential way. Now look at it like this. If you a spirit in the body and you're vibrating high, then of course that's a big influence. Now take this into consideration into your government. Basically, as you can see what's going on right now, which is this coronavirus, which is basically your brain, which is the corona, which is your crown chakra. Now that virus is basically when somebody basically can take your mind over, fuck your head up, shoot that shit out your brain. What they can do is they can implant a seed inside your mind. They can take your mind over. They can take you places. They can expand and utilize your imagination because they took it. You're paying attention to something that's not real, which is a virus cannot basically exist outside of you. You can't catch a virus from outside of you. But that's what they're trying to make you believe. Only a dumb, stupid motherfucker that was born yesterday will believe that shit. There we go. That's what we're talking about. Believing this shit. Because these are your three powers: creativity, belief, and imagination. And of course, if your imagination, your mind is gone, what you got left is two things. Now, your creativity, you can't create no more because they took that away from you, because that's what they want you to think, that you can't create no more because what's going on. They took that away from you. Now they basically creating shit with they shit, and what you got left is your belief. Now all you believe and wake up to is this motherfucking virus. So now you gave all three of your powers away. Now you're compromised. You're stuck. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to make money. You don't know what the fuck you don't know what the fuck going on. You don't know thyself. You thought when they said come down here and create and basically live life, you thought that was basically following the government or society. No. It's way above that shit. You got laws. You gotta get your power back. For me? You gotta take your power back. And now, when we're talking about spiritual warfare, the moment you allow a spirit outside of you to tell you what to do, to tell you to wear a mask, to tell you to go to church, tell you working 9 to 5, to tell you to do this or do that, that's the moment they take away your power and they control you. Now, basically, this starts from being a little child to you growing up, and basically, now you growing up now you basically know what your parents said. Now you passing this on to your younger child. And this is basically people trapping their minds, thinking that they got to work 9 to 5 or go to school for the rest of their life and basically give their all to society. Whole time, all you had, your gift was inside of you. All you had to do was get spiritual and bring that down into existence. But the moment you went into somebody else's bubble, you let they shit grow and expand. You ain't come down here to create your own bubble. You ain't come down here to create your own system, your own belief system, your own individualistic nature. You ain't do none of that. You allow something outside of you to do that for you. And the moment you stay into that shit and you don't get out of that shit, you don't question things, and you don't search for answers within yourself, is a moment your ass lack. And now, that's spiritual warfare at the root cause. Your spirit in the body here is to basically create. And the moment you allow somebody outside of you, which is another spirit in the body, which have another influences that are overthrowing you, and basically that'll make your ideas and concepts and the way you think and the way you imagine and the way you express yourself. If they shoot that down, you feel shot down, that's just basically you having a weak spirit. And basically, you don't know how to free yourself out of a jail cell, out of a hell cell. Now you in a prison. Now you got to follow this spirit because you ain't got no other way of doing it because your spaceship not strong enough. And basically, all it takes is a spiritual break to get your ass stronger. You're already strong, but then you're already the power. But you allow somebody with a big influence to try to overthrow you just because everybody else believes in that. But no, you're supposed to stay fixated and stay cardinal and stay mutable in your own way of changing and adopting to your own way of basically growing up and not getting stuck or fixated down here in their motherfucking way of doing things and their own elements. And that's real shit, spiritual warfare off the bat. And this episode will continue because we got to basically break the fuck up out of this circumstance situation or we're going to repeat our history. And we don't need to be doing this shit, for real.